Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. What follows after the threat of resignations from the assemblies for the PMLN, also for the PPP, if it does indeed go through? We'll be talking about that. We'll also be talking about the political climate and the build-up to the 16th October rally, which will start the process of the protests which the PMLN is talking about, the JUI is talking about, the Pakistan Democratic Movement is talking about. How far will this process actually go? What does the government anticipate and what kind of strategy does the government have to deal with if there will be an aftermath, or what do they expect? Let's talk about all of that today. I have with me Asim Shaukat, who's a spokesperson, Punjab Government, PTI. Thank you for joining us today. Barrister Umar Marik, who's a legal expert. Thank you for joining us. And Rana Ehsan Afzal Khan, who is leader PMLN. Thank you for being with us. Asim Saab, like I said, you know, there's a lot being said now openly about resignations. You know, that started off and it built up now with even the PPP saying that if it does come down to it, they will follow with the resignations. If that does happen, first of all, does the government really expect the opposition to actually follow through with this threat? And if it does, then how is the government preparing?
Thank you, Maru. First of all, let me be very clear on it. In fact, I challenge them that none of them is going to give his resignation from the parliament, and neither anyone from PMLN nor from People's Party. In case if any of them goes for the resignations, will immediately go for the by-election on the seats. So there is no problem for us. If they resign from their seats, we'll go for the by-elections on the empty seat, so on the vacant seat.
What about the electoral process, in the sense that, of course, with March, we're looking at the Senate elections now. And as far as the National Assembly is concerned, if I'm not wrong, there are about 84 National Assembly seats at this time. If they go through with resigning, and I'm not taking into account the PPP and the other makeup of the National Assembly, it will pose a problem for the government, will it not?
What sort of problem? Like if they resign, we'll go for the by-election simply.
But it won't
the
be very
new
easy.
members will come into the parliament, and first of all, I think I do not know the exact legal details, but I have discussed with some legal experts. They say the Senate elections can be held with the available majority, with the available number in the houses. In case if a certain number is required, then it will at the most it will be postponed temporarily, not more than this.
Right.
Yes.
But
first, let me be clear again, they are not going to resign.
Right.
No, they are not going
that to happen.
Yes,
Fair enough.
none of them.
Barrister, what can you tell us about the electoral process? If that does happen, what happens as far as the Senate elections are concerned? In your opinion, will they go through? Will they be postponed? Or like Asim Saab is saying, they will be held with the available numbers, whatever they may be?
Well, I think the Electoral College for the Senate is National Assembly and the provincial assemblies.
Right.
So if the PMLN, and especially, you know, the PMLN is not alone like in PDM. So the statement has come from the PMLN. But I think if they decide to resign, they will be including the JUI with them.
Right.
I think People's Party will be helping them with this. So if they decide to resign, I think they will be resigning altogether.
Altogether.
So once they resign, like there would be a huge number from National Assembly and from maybe from the provincial assemblies as well. Like if from Sindh, the People's Party government, if they resign and the assembly is dissolved, I think it will be a bigger problem for the government, because Senate elections, the Electoral College is the National Assembly and the provincial assemblies. So it would be a big problem for the government to carry on their business.
Do you think that technically speaking, in terms of the law, do you think that with the available numbers, if they are, for example, just for the sake of, minimum, is there a minimum number that there have to be that many members for the Senate elections to be held, or it doesn't matter?
No, see, the problem is that, if such huge number like 84 members of the PMLN, and including other members, so that would go around like 100 and, like 30 or 40 maybe, so that would create a bigger problem for them. So, there is not number specified over there, but there is a huge problem, like if 150 members are not there.
So technically speaking, you're saying it doesn't matter, but practically it will pose a problem.
It will create a huge pressure on the government.
Right.
If once they resign, they were simply out of the system. So why to wait for March? Resign it immediately, resign from their seats immediately. We'll simply go for the by-elections, even if they resign in March. And do you expect, Maruk, I ask you, that People's Party will resign from the Sindh government? Never ever. You please mark my words, have a recording, and please run this recording again when they resign.
Right, I will talk. Let's go to Rana Ehsan Afzal Saab. Ji, Rana Saab, I don't know if you've been following our discussion so far, but there seems to be a unanimous opinion here that it's unlikely that there will be that kind of a resignation, the one that PMLN is talking about, the joint PDM is talking about.
I think this is one of our main options. When things, when the time is right, we will definitely take up this option. And within our party, we are quite sure, and we've taken an oath as well in our meeting yesterday that everyone who is in the parliament and a member of PMLN will resign if the party calls for that sacrifice. We'll do it for the sake of Pakistan.
Why was there, before we go on, why was there need of that kind of an oath at this time? Is it because the PMLN is feeling a dearth of leadership, of course, with with Nawaz Sharif Saab out of the country, Shahbaz Sharif Saab in jail, and Maryam Nawaz also was until very recently not very active in terms of she had taken a back seat. Do you think that this meeting was to mobilize your election, your ticket holders, your parliamentarians, your political party, and also to reinforce that there is a leadership and that there is, as far as that there's a hierarchy here. What that hierarchy is, we can discuss later.
I think there is no dearth of leadership. Maryam Nawaz will be leading from the front. We have Hakan Abbasi, Ehsan Iqbal, Rana Sanaullah, Khwaja Asif, Khwaja Saad Rafiq. So the party leadership is alhamdulillah intact, and so is the party overall. We did not miss a single ticket holder. We did not miss a single parliamentarian. It was almost 99% attendance from all members. So I think the party is very much eager to start this protest, because these protests are not for the sake of our party.
Is it fair, Rana Saab, to ask your members to resign in this way? Because certainly we, as far as your political representatives is concerned, there is of course a whole electoral process behind them when they come into the parliament. For them to be asked to resign this way, to take an oath to that effect, do you think that it's democratic?
Of course. I mean, you have the option of not raising your hand. No one is forcing you to do that. And I think that,
do you really have
we
that
not
option,
come to this
considering
point,
that, of course, we've seen in the recent past, you've also, there are members who've actually been asked to leave the party, even someone today. So that there is, that kind of, the political makeup at this time of certainly PMLN and PPP is such that is there a chance of getting away with a no?
I'll tell you what, it works like this, that we had these all parties conference, and first we had discussions within our party how to go about it. Everyone had a different view on how to deal with this government and how the protests should be and what intensity should the protests be having. But then after that, the party makes a decision. And once that decision is made with the consensus
then you have to follow
and the majority of people, yes, when the consensus, I believe that everyone has to follow the party line, because otherwise, if that is not done, then there would be no APC, there would be no PDM. So obviously, we have to, give in to the majority opinion, and then that is the only way we can go ahead, and that is how democracy works within the parties as well.
Rana Saab,
Yes.
before I move on and I go to Asim Saab, how, what do you expect as far as the PPP is concerned? Do you expect them to follow through, to stand with you as far as these resignations are concerned?
The 26 points that we came up with for the PDM, People's Party was hands in hand with us, and so was JUIF. So I believe that whatever decision the PDM makes, the Pakistan Democratic Movement, all parties will abide by it, and that is the expectation, the minimum expectation that we have from everyone. Yes.
Right. Okay. Let me go to Asim Saab. Asim Saab, what does the government think is behind all this that's happening? This build-up of resignations, the threat of resignations, the threat of protests that is now, of course, your party is no stranger to protests, and I think that it wouldn't be wrong to say that the PTI has led with this kind of protest culture, with this kind of coming out on the streets, certainly, and that is a democratic right. But what do you expect from the PDM?
Actually, Mark, 2-3 things.
Ji.
Number one, you have asked what they are up to actually. They know that once Senate election is done, will be having majority in both the houses and will be comfortable for the legislation. So once IK today again, Imran Khan, Prime Minister Imran Khan has said again that there is no NRO for any of them, for any of the culprits involved. So they are afraid that once we have majority in both the houses, they will be having more difficulties. Number one. Number two, if some decision is made and they actually direct their MNAs or MPAs to resign, I tell you honestly, they will be exposed again. As it happened in Senate elections, as it happened when extension case was being decided for CAOS, as it has recently happened when FATF legislation was being done. So their MNAs, their MPAs, their senators, they are not on board with them. They know that what they are up to. They are trying to save their looted and plundered wealth, and they are trying to evade their corruption cases. And that's why I ask why people will come out on the roads for them when their own kids, when their own sons are sitting outside the country, they are sitting in the London, and they are asking a common worker to come out on the roads to protest.
But so that they are saying that the reason why people will come out is because of the price of sugar, the price of wheat, the price of essentials at this time, inflation, price hike, which are issues the government has agreed that it's dealing with.
Then yes, this is what I was asking. Then why to wait for March then? Then if today they are having, they are feeling inflation today, then why to resign in March after 6 months? So it means they have a problem with Senate election.
Right,
and
okay.
Secondly, then what was the problem with FATF? So simply they wanted to bargain on FATF law so that they could evade their corruption cases which are pending in NAB. So this is the case. And
Right. Okay,
yes.
I will come back to you. Ji Best Sahab, how, I've had this discussion again, and somehow it never fails to be relevant, because even now we are still talking about the NRO we were talking about when the government came in. NRO is something, how legal is this term, and how feasible do you think it is to expect the government to come out with an NRO, especially because now, as far as the PMLN is concerned, they're saying that their fight is not really with the PTI or with Imran Khan Saab personally. They're saying that it is with the establishment. They're saying that it is not it is talking about the forces behind, or the powers that be, whatever we may call them.
Well, I think first of all, I think we'll have to start from the election day. I think we all know that RTS system stopped working. So there is no answer from anyone till date. There is no commission from anyone saying that how did it stop working? Why were the ROs from all the country were told not to submit, not to use that RTS system? There is some recording on record, on even social media, that somebody was calling all the ROs and saying that do not update the results on the RTS, and somebody, and even the election commission or all the institutions, nobody has come up and said that what happened, how did it happen, And so there are some questions which are creating, which are creating problems, and till date those have not been answered. Another thing, NRO, like you said, the problem here is not the NRO thing. I think NRO is something which, they always talk about corruption. Now the thing is that it's been 2 years. Now people are asking that, okay, you came, you said they are corrupt. But in corrupt people's governance, we were buying sugar at 55 rupees per kg. Today, you are honest, very honest. We brought you said that you will bring change. What kind of change is it that we are buying sugar at 110 and 105 rupees kg till day, on today's rate? So it's not about only that. For the first time in 8 years, we are importing wheat. From Punjab, and the Punjab was the food basket of the whole Pakistan. We used to export wheat, and now today we are importing wheat and importing the flour. So I think now the problem is that they have failed to, I think, address these issues, the main issues. And the only thing they have on all the talk shows, it's very unfortunate, on all the talk shows and on the news that, you know, NRO and corruption will not leave them and all these things.
Right,
so the basic issues have not been addressed by the government, very unfortunately.
Right, before I go to Rana Sabji, Asif Saab, let me give you a chance to answer that.
Okay, first, my friend was saying, Umar was saying that there is no NRO and nothing like this. I simply ask a simple question, then why Zubair Saab went to meet CEO, AS and ISI chief? He wanted to bargain with him. When he refused, when he said that everything will be decided by the institutions, by the state institutions, then Mia Nawaz Sharif delivered a speech.
Like it was with Mia Saab having let go, you know, on the basis of his health, of course.
But now he should come back. This is supposed to be his moral duty because he is violating his bail. It was initially decided that he will go there, he will get himself treated, and after 4 weeks, he will have to seek permission from the Punjab government. Now Punjab government has refused. Now he should come back. After all, he is
But
a 3 times prime minister.
When you let him go, when you let the former prime minister go, you know, you keep on talking about, the government keeps on talking about the narrative of accountability, but when they let the former prime minister go, I think the accountability narrative also, you know, like Barsab is saying, that people are saying that, well, you know, if you are going to find out, you know, hold people accountable, then who have you held accountable till now? You let the former prime minister go. As far as the other main political leaders are, Zardari Saab is also facing courts. We haven't seen an end to this, you know, and there have been more than 2 years now.
Yes, Maruf, actually 2 things. Initially, we enforced an indemnity bond of 7 billion rupees because we had an apprehension, we had a fear. In English, it is said the best way to know the future is to learn from the past. And the history tells us that whenever there is a tough time, their leadership flies away. So we had a fear. Exactly. So I'm telling. So we tried to impose an indemnity bond of 7 billion rupees.
But have you done anything about it?
But the justice system waived that. But the honorable courts waived that. Secondly, there was a very specific circumstances in those days, and court specifically asked us that we should guarantee his life, which nobody can.
But
nobody
Asif
can.
Saab,
So
okay,
that's why.
Fair enough. But Asif Saab, at this time, you know, certainly that indemnity bond may not have been, that may have been struck down. But there is, as I understand it, and I will ask Barrister Umar about that also, there is a guarantee in place of which Shehbaz Sharif is a guarantor. Why does the government act against that guarantee? Why doesn't it act against it at this time? It hasn't done so till now.
No, we are trying to bring Nawaz Sharif back, and Shehbaz Sharif is already jailed now. So what to do with him now? So I'm again saying
that's a separate cause of action.
Exactly. They at the same time they have some moral responsibilities also, that why they are violating the bail. But nobody is asking them that you are 3 times prime minister and you are violating your bail. Special treatment was given to you, especially on humanitarian basis due to health concerns. And now you are sitting there, you are not getting your treatment done, and now you are doing politics, and especially the politics that is anti-state institutions. This is something that is quite condemnable.
Barrister Saab, what is your take on this? What about the guarantee? Do you think that, of course, Shehbaz Sharif Saab is in jail, but that's a separate matter, and certainly the government can proceed against the guarantee, can it not?
Well, I think the court has recently proceeded in the case, you know, under section 87 and 88 of CRPC. They have initiated the proceedings of sending summons, and, you know, after that declaring him proclaimed offender. Of course, the law will take its course. So that proceedings is underway. But I think the problem here is not about him coming back. If he comes back tomorrow, would they give sugar at the rate of 55 rupees per kg to people? Would they able to give petrol at the price of 64 rupees, which was back in before 2 years?
But they're saying that is really the fault of the previous government.
So if they think that, what kind of fault we think? You know, was it a fault to give at 55 rupees kg? Now is it good to give at 110 rupees per kg? And, you know, they said that, you know, I've taken notice. So the Prime Minister said that I've taken notice, and now this thing would not stop at rupees 70 per kg. And it didn't. He was right. It went to 110.
But do you think because the government has, for the first time, as far as the PTI is concerned, acted against the sugar mafia, acted against the wheat mafia, and therefore we are seeing this reaction? Part of it could be that, isn't that true?
Have they gone against the sugar mafia? or have they let him go? Their own his own financer and the financer of the PTI go to. They have let him go to London or do something. Just to run away from all these things.
Right.
So had they held them accountable,
One-
I think
one
situation
thing
would have
I
been
would
much
like to say-
different.
Asnaf,
as
I'll
far
come
as-
back to you. I'll just go to Rana Sansab.
Okay,
I'll come.
okay,
Ji,
okay.
Rana
I was
Saab,
talking about the investigation report. Yes.
your as far as the issues are concerned, certainly my question to you is, which is being said again and again by the government, why not resign now? You want to wait till March. It has to do with the Senate elections, or what is behind this time frame?
Maruk, you'll have to give me double the time because I was skipped one turn. The resigns will come. We don't have to rush into it. When the time is right, we'll also bring that on. But right now, we're starting a movement. We've given a whole schedule for that. We're starting with Gujranwala, and then it's 2-3 months of jalsas. Then, if required, we'll go to streets. Street movements, and if a dharna is required, and then if resignations are required, so that will also follow. So right now we're just initiating with the PDM. Don't worry, all of that will come. But let me
But
tell
what
you
will
why
change?
we're doing it.
Rana Saab, what will change in your opinion? You're saying that in all due course all of that would come, but what would change for you to get to that point where you are not today? And even if you follow the plan that you're talking about, where you're talking about protests and all of that, which are to precede the resignations, why do they have to precede the resignations? Why not
You
just go
see,
for the resignations straight on?
Our target is that we, as Mia Nawaz Sharif had said, that this nizam or the system which is behind the doors, which is a puppeteering sort of a system where the vote you vote for someone and the result is in favor of someone else. Where in our last 1.5 years of government, how Mia Nawaz Sharif, the Panama cases were against 440 people, but only one person was prosecuted for Panama, and that him too, he went away for Ikama and not Panama, and how our Balochistan government fell and how things unfolded. We're standing for all that. We're standing for democracy. We're standing for the preservation and implementation of our constitution, which says that the parliamentary system is
But Rana Saab,
the
could
center
you
of
not
power.
have stood for democracy in the assemblies? I mean, certainly you've come from the electoral process, you've come from the parliamentary process. There is, a democracy at play here, whether flawed or not, as far as our country is concerned. Why not agitate within the parliament? Why not talk about sugar, wheat, all the issues that you are saying are behind this? Why not do it within the parliament?
We have been doing that, but as you've seen the parliamentary process and the sessions in the parliament, the government is unable to run the parliament. How they've been moving
part
things.
of it is because you saw the previous government as far as the PTI is concerned. Certainly we saw, the protests, we saw the dharnas, we saw them have pressure on your government, on the PMLN government. There's no denying that. Do you think that that is behind this this game of this plan of action?
No, I'll tell you what is behind it. What is behind it is the fact that this government is, even its supporters like MQM and the other supporters of this party, or the coalition government, that is, they're only with them because they're under pressure, because someone is supporting this government. Otherwise, it would have collapsed. So this system, which is on a ventilator, and I'm sure you understand when I say who's giving them the ventilator, that has to be switched off. And why are we asking for that? Is because they have failed to deliver on all fronts. Let's talk about national security. Our last budget that we gave the armed forces was $9 billion US. Today, after 2 years, they're standing on $7 billion US. So I feel that our national security is compromised today with PTI in power. Today, inflation all over in the South Asian countries is less than 5%. Only Pakistan is above 11%. Unemployment is at the highest. Industry has stopped working. So all of this experiment which was done with Pakistan has failed. This is what is behind this movement. We're exposing it. The behind the doors has to stop. This unwavering support to this failed system is destroying Pakistanis. and we have to stand up to it. This is what is behind our movement.
But why not? I mean, if, for example, as far as your leadership is concerned at this time, you are being led by Maryam Nawaz Sahiba. Something interesting that someone had mentioned, if she is allowed to go abroad, as far as, because of course she's facing courts at this time, will this process, this kind of momentum still continue as far as the PMLN is concerned?
You have to let me answer this question. You see, you're talking about accountability. Nawaz Sharif's case was decided by a judge named Arshad Malik, who has been discredited and has been thrown out of the judiciary, but his verdict stands. Rana Sanaullah was put behind bars for 15 kg heroin, which the whole country is looking for, but there's no evidence. Ehsan Iqbal was behind bars for building a sports complex. The LNG case, let me say this. Today, PTI government is signing LNG contracts on spot at 14 to 15%, which are higher than our long-term contract, which is signed at 11.6% and 13%. And Hakan Abbasi was behind bars. So their accountability is a sham. It has been exposed. And we're not looking for any NRO. They have found nothing out of this accountability drive. Look at the justices which have given us bails, their judgments. They talk about the political victimization, human rights violations. So we're not at all. My answer is not at all. Maryam Nawaz will be leading.
Zubair Saab went to meet, as
COS
far as the COS is, he went to meet the COS, and then we saw a lot of came out of that, a lot of things were discussed post that meeting. And then the narrative came out that he'd gone for a dinner and it was related to it was a personal meeting or whatever. And then following that, we saw that he's been made the spokesperson, or, you can correct me, but he has been given an additional charge at this time in your party. Isn't that true?
He had that charge even before, this episode. So that charge was with him. But let me tell you, he clarified his version that he was there in his personal capacity. But what happened after that? We have given you the 26 points. We have given you the PDM. We have given you the schedule of the protests. So there's no going back. We're demanding that, there should be a truth commission.
As far as going back is concerned, unfortunately, we've seen, as far as the PMLN is concerned, as far as your leadership is concerned, there are bouts of great aggression, of speaking out, of talking against the powers that be, even before, as far as Maryam Nawaz herself is concerned. But then there always comes, that's preceded by periods of calm, of lull, where there is an absolute silence. So how do we know that will not happen in this instance?
Well, if you're pointing towards the previous movement by Maulana Fazlur Rahman, at that time it was too soon, I believe, that we wanted to give time to PTI, that maybe they would make the lives of common man better, but that did not happen. Now it's amply
give them
clear
another year then.
that now it's amply clear that now nothing is going to come out of it. Why? Because in a single year they decide that they're going to export wheat, and in the same year they decide they're going to import it. In the same year they decide that they're going to export sugar, and in the same year they decide that they're going to import sugar. Look at the LNG deal that they're doing in the spot. So everything, and I think that it would have been that if we would have removed this government a year back, people would have still said that the PTI was not given a chance. But now everyone is up to their heads. They don't want PTI anymore.
Now people will say that you did give this government a chance.
Yes, of course.
Right, okay. Ji Asim Saab.
First of all, we have a mandate of 5 years,
and we will complete our tenure, inshallah, and then we'll go back to the people and they'll decide. Secondly, I want to remind all of us again that Nawaz Sharif is convicted. He has violated his bail, and now the courts have declared him absconder. Again, I would say this is supposed to be his moral responsibility. He should come back. He should not act like this, being a 3 times prime minister. Thirdly, my very simple question, they keep repeating that he was not ousted on corruption, he was not convicted on corruption, it was just a comma, a comma. My very simple question is, a 3 times prime minister, a businessman, a person from a business family, why did he need to have this comma? Can you give me a logic? My friend Umar or my friend Rana Ehsan, can they give me a logic? What was the need? What was the urgency to have that comma? Then I will explain why did he want to have that comma. So a comma is not a simple thing. When you have a comma, you get the rights to have address outside the country, and then all these offshore companies are operated. So this is the case.
Well, I think this is an issue which should be discussed, I think, on all the levels now. So the people who are running the country, be the bureaucrats, be even the judiciary, all the institutions, even, you know, all the state institutions, I think it's very difficult to name them, you know, all the people who are running the system, they have interests abroad, they have children abroad. So the moment they retire, I think some people, they even leave the very next week they retire.
Find to, for example, the leadership of PMLN or the People's Party.
Everybody,
right.
Be the politicians, be the bureaucrats, be the judges, be the even, you know, like even the army personnel we have seen. So they retire, and the very next week they move to their countries, to the other countries. So they go, you know, like we see the record, like most of the people, they are living abroad, and even during their service they send their children abroad. They take nationalities,
which is mostly what's happening at this time.
And now I think this is the time we should decide, all the politicians, and not only politicians. This is very important, that we all time criticize the only politicians. This is not right. Politicians are chosen representatives of people. So this is not only about the political persons. It's about everybody. That there should be a law that if you want to live in Pakistan, if you want to be in the government and hold an office, then you must declare that you do not have any property outside Pakistan. You are not sending your children out.
But isn't that already the law?
It is not. It is not clear about the dual nationalities.
This is the actual fear that if we have some majority in both the houses, then we can go for this sort of legislation.
But
this
why
is
very recently. But have you held other people accountable who have had that same problem?
One thing I want to make crystal clear with the examples and with the events, that this is for the first time in the 72 years history of Pakistan that NAB is acting as an independent institution. For example, that this is for the first time that our sitting MPs are being summoned notices, are being given notices. Our sitting ministers, sitting senior ministers, so much so, our chief minister is being summoned by the NAB. This is unprecedented.
Let's leave your political, your people, and let's leave the PMLN people, and let's leave the politicians aside. Have you held those other, there are other people also, have you held them accountable for the same charges, for the same, or subjected them to the same investigations?
Again, Maruk, it is not we who have to hold them accountable. These are the institutions. For example, when Panama case was opened, do you remember what we had to do? Do you remember what we had to do? Initially, we went to the courts. Our application was rejected. Then there was mobs. Then there were protests, and finally we had to lock down Islamabad. And then this petition was taken up, and then court decided. So if they have problem, again very simple question: if they have problem with the person from some other institution, why don't they go to the court simply? There are so many platforms where they can go. But this is not the way. They are keep leveling allegations on us. We don't have to do anything.
But Asim Sahib, it is your ministers. It is your, to say it like it is, your ministers and your spokespeople who actually come out and talk about your achievements via NAB. That also is unfortunately a reality.
Our achievement as a NAB is that NAB has become an independent institution.
But when NAB arrests somebody, or when NAB finds something against somebody, why is it an achievement of spokespeople or your ministers, but when it doesn't do that, or when it goes to the opposition or whatever, then you say, well, it's not really us, it's NAB acting on its own. There has
Yes,
to be.
Mark, it is just like again, you have to please answer this question. Again, I would say this is unprecedented that NAB is acting across the board, whether it is from People's Party, it is from PMLN, or it is from our allies PMLQ, or it is from our party.
Mariam Nawaz Sahiba said in her speech yesterday she mentioned Prime Minister's sister. She said no action has been taken against him. She mentioned Jahangir Tareen Saab, among a few names that actually are quite there in front of us. We've seen the Sugar Commission, the way it happened, the way he left the country, all of that. Why haven't we seen any action against those people?
Again, in Sugar Commission, it was unprecedented that again, name of our opposition were in the Sugar Commission, name of our allies were in the Sugar Commission,
but it's only one of your closest allies who've gone out of country.
Exactly, because he was not convicted. He is not convicted yet. His name was not on ECL. So he could have gone.
But of course, his name. Why wasn't? I mean, that's a relevant question. Why wasn't his name on ECL?
Yes.
Why wasn't his
because
name on ECL?
he is
wasn't
not
he under
convicted
investigation?
No, he is under investigation.
So
and
how
he
are
is
you
not convicted
investigating?
yet.
So how are you investigating him now?
There is a procedure
when he's out of country. Will he return? How are you investigating him now?
Again, Marukh, he is not convicted yet. Once he is convicted, then government puts his name on ECL on the request of Interior Ministry. So this is the procedure.
But Interior Ministry is very much part of the government.
But nobody's name is on ECL. Why to talk about Jahangir Tareen?
No, but in this case,
nobody's name is.
But in this
on
case,
ECL.
we saw what happened as far as the former Prime Minister is concerned.
Because he was convicted again.
Yes, but he was let go
convicted.
nevertheless.
Sorry.
He was let go nevertheless.
Again, it was by the courts. Courts allowed Nawaz Sharif to go on, and Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf's government allowed him or put his name down from ECL mainly on humanitarian concern, because everybody was saying he was having terrible.
But you don't
health
think
conditions.
Shehbaz Sharif Saab is also in need of some humanitarian concerns?
So, what do you want? Should we allow him to go abroad
Well,
also?
if you're saying that you're going to act on humanitarian concerns, then maybe there are other people who need
but
it.
we imposed an indemnity, but courts allowed him to go.
But you're not going and trying to enforce the guarantee that you have. Ji, Barrister Saab.
I think like he said, Asim Saab said that Nawaz Sharif, it's moral authority of Mr. Nawaz Sharif to come back and face all these things. So very recently, I think an FIA has issued notices to Jahangir Tareen Saab, but he has not come back. So I think the moral thing is applied on both sides and on both the parties. So everybody should be held accountable. Very recently we have seen that even the BRT cases, NAB has not proceeded, and even stays were taken by the ruling party. I think everybody should be accountable.
Of course, but
the most expensive.
What happened? We've seen, as far as the Nawaz Sharif Saab is concerned, now it's been so long he's been allowed to leave the country, if that's the right word. But there is this debate where it's the judiciary saying that it's the government, and the government saying it's the judiciary. Who let Nawaz Sharif Saab go?
Well, I think without the medical reports of the government and the doctors and the medical team by the government, it would not have been possible. So the government cannot say that they are not responsible for this. It was the Punjab government's medical team.
But the court did ask them, to be fair, the court did say, they sort of put them in the spot by saying, well, can you guarantee that nothing will happen to him?
No, it's not
no
like
one
that.
can ever guarantee.
See,
Exactly.
the court was saying this on the basis of the medical reports which were submitted by the government. It was not on the courts, it was not on by themselves. So it is very clear that the Punjab government submitted the reports, even the doctors were called in the court, and then it was decided. So you can't say that the court forced them to say or to let him go.
Force them.
Right.
Other
Rana
courts
Saab?
relaxed the.
Rana Saab, will Mia Saab return? Will Nawaz Sharif Saab return? Will he return to lead his political party through this protest, through this, whether the resignation will follow, all of that?
That Mia Saab will return, and he will do so when he feels.
Sorry.
On the previous discussion, I would like to add my 2 cents that when he was ill, he to treat him, and it is not that the government they only let him go because they were in fear that if something happens to him over here, they didn't want to take responsibility. It was the Punjab government which let him go. His reports were verified by Shaukat Khanum doctors as well. And I would like to comment one thing on, he was saying that Jahangir Tareen is not convicted. Neither is Hamza Shehbaz. He's not convicted. And he's been in jail since the last 14 months. Shahbaz Sharif is not convicted. He was not convicted. But they've all been in jails for dozens of months. So the political engineering. And what could be more evident after the former DG FIA's interviews? The things he has revealed that he was being directed to put terrorism cases on Maryam Nawaz and the social media team. So let's not joke here. The country knows. And Marukh, you've been talking about the common man, and so has Barrister Saab. But look at Asim. He did not talk about inflation. He did not talk about the common man. He did not talk about the sugar prices. They have a opposition phobia. All he has been talking about in this show has been Nawaz Sharif and Shahbaz Sharif and accountability and corruption. If the country was moving correctly, if we were moving in the right direction, no one would support PDM. So you should worry about the common man. Please deliver.
No, but you are.
Please
but you
stop
are
this
making
inflation.
sure that they worry about you also. Asim sir.
It is their incompetence which is making them worry about us. It is their lack of governance. Let me.
First of all, Marukh, yes, I admit.
It was our mandate that will control the inflation and will bring the prices down. And right now, this is not the case. We are struggling on this case. But economy can be studied, economy should be studied as a whole. Inflation cannot be taken in isolation. For example, like I often say that economy is a very tricky subject. Like it is very difficult to make people understand about the macroeconomics, that people don't know that current account deficit has been reduced from 20 billion rupees and now it is in surplus. Like people don't know that what was the situation of foreign reserves accounts when we took the government. Like people don't know that exports are increasing. Please.
If I can
I'm just trying to, let me complete.
Do you know what the price of peas is?
Sorry?
What the price of peas is?
Yes.
Mutter at this time.
I accepted, in first place, I have admitted that
But
yes,
what will happen?
inflation
Will
is
this
very much
come
there.
down?
I am just talking about that there are so many indicators which are improving, economic indicators, like I have named a current account deficit. Imports have drastically decreased. Exports are slightly increasing. And like there are so many other, I have talked about current account deficit, foreign reserves accounts are increasing. So yes, inflation is one of the indicators where we are struggling. I have admitted, and it is our mandate. And even yesterday, Prime Minister had a 2-hour-long meeting on to evaluate that why there is inflation, and we are working hard on it. Inshallah, don't forget that we are fighting against the mafias which were flourishing for the last 70 years. So it is not possible to that we are cracking down on them. So it is not possible to have results in just 2-3 months. So they will fight back and will be having a tough time.
Ji, Barrister Saab, unfortunately, I'm running out of time. So your comments before.
My comments are, we have recently seen in this week that, thousands of civil servants, they came in front of the parliament and they protested against the inflation. So I think the problem and, the PTI should look towards this issue rather than registering FIRs for protesting against the opposition parties. So the people are coming out without any leadership, without any political leadership. We have recently seen thousands of people were in front of the parliament. So I think this issue needs to be addressed, and we are talking about the economy. It's a very difficult thing, but we are, the common man is saying that in the same year, you say that, we have surplus sugar, we are sending it to Afghanistan, and then in the same year, after 2 months, you say that, oh my God, we don't have much sugar, we'll have to import it. So of course, that would create a problem. Of course, that would increase the price. So, these issues, these are not like, very complex. So these are very simple issues which could have been addressed, and they have failed to do this. So they need to understand this, that now people do not need political leadership, for the protests. Okay. People are coming, and the civil servants, very recently we have seen. They were on the
Rana
roads.
Saab, your comments before we close.
Pakistani people have been conned. They were promised you know, 10 million jobs. They were promised 5 million houses. They were promised 1,000 things, and nothing has come true.
Let us
And
complete
you
in
know,
5 years.
now you're saying it is a difficult subject. It is a tricky subject. You need to deliver people on your promises that you made before the elections.
you are quite
Now
selective when
everything
we
seems
discuss
to be very
economy.
tough and hard to understand. And this is what we're talking about in PDM. We're talking about freeing Pakistan from this incompetent government, which is being supported behind the scenes. Otherwise, it would have
Right.
collapsed.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you for being with us. Asim Shaukat Saab, thank you for joining us. Barrister Umar Malik, thank you for being with us. Rana Ihsan Afzal Saab, thank you for joining us. As far as the protest is concerned, as far as the issue of resignation is concerned, as far as the PDM is concerned, certainly these are important issues if you look at the political landscape. But what concerns, should concern the government and the opposition at this time is the price hike, is the inflation, is the price of sugar and wheat and the price of essentials, which are the core issues that trouble the common man outside. Of course, it would be better if the opposition could find it in themselves to sit in the parliament and agitate on these core issues, find out alternatives, give out concrete alternatives to the government on which the government can then act. That kind of politics is unfortunately not yet, that kind of democracy is unfortunately not yet in place in Pakistan. But let's hope that we can get there one day, which is what the people want to see. They want to see the issue of price hike, inflation. They want to see the issue of law and order, where young children are being abused and left for dead every day, where the justice system unfortunately falls short of punishing the perpetrators of such heinous crimes. These are issues that actually concern the common man, you and I, and these are the issues that we now should be working towards, whether it's the government, whether it's the opposition, whether it's the civil society. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.